Hello everyone, this is Dr. El-Hawary and I'm going to review with you the Excel practical version. So in this case, how are we gonna do a calculation or how we're gonna use the Excel to figure out the outputs of each of the given step. So let's give this as an example. Here we have a students and this is for only one course, for example, or ICT, for example. So I'm having here homework 1 until homework 4, graded classwork, assessment, homework 5, and then assessment 2. So in this case here, I'm having different assessments, and in this case, I would like first of all to change the formatting of the cell height and width. So in this case, I will select all my cells and then I'm going to format. You'll find here row height. So this is the row. So the horizontal part is the row. And when I change the height of it, so let's say for example, I'm changing this to, for example, I20. So as you see here, the row height now is 20. And then I can go to the column width. And this is the column, the vertical one, and the width of it. Let's put here as a 30. And I click OK. Now it's clear enough so I can see all my data. Great. So in here I'm having all my data being sorted out. Now I'm gonna start now working on the text. So I could, for example, go right in the top here and change the font type to a bold. So I'm gonna keep it as it is. I'm gonna keep it bold, and I'll make sure this is falling right in the middle. But before I do this, I'm just gonna highlight it, for example, to light orange, so I know this is my header. In this case here, I can zoom out right at the bottom here, and then after this I can actually highlight all my table. We actually change the width a little bit less, so I'm gonna go here to give it 20 instead of 30. Good. So in this case here, I can use border now, and by selecting in all borders, that means all of them will be highlighted with a full border around the cell. There we go. So I can see now more visible. Now if you see any of them that you don't like to get a border in this case, say for example, I don't need to add any borders here. So I can click on this and then borders, no border. In this case, it will remove the borders. Again, those might be again adding here all borders just to make sure that I'm having all borders around my text. Great. So going right at the top here, row. I know this is fairly small, but we're gonna zoom in a minute. So at this case here, I can actually get this to be right allocated right in the center. So this is aligning right in the center of a horizontal line, where the center here of a vertical line. So if I go over here, this is vertically. Let me zoom in here so we can see the different. So again, I can select this to the left, right in a horizontal axis, where here you can get it right in the top, bottom, or center in a vertical axis. Great. Now I can actually zoom out a little bit and make sure all my table is aligned right on the left. Here we go. Now working out the date first. Here I can go inserting a date. So inserting a date here, we can do this manually by actually going to, let's say for example, 1st of January 2022, for example. And then I can actually drag it right at the bottom here. There's a little square here. I can drag it all the way down, and this is going to be copied exactly the same. Okay, imagine we having those in a series of a date. So in this case, I can go over here, select again, fill a series, but you see here, I can put fill with a formatting only. I can actually get this to be fill days, weekdays, week fill months, years, and flash fill. So if I go here by fill days, okay, you're gonna find here days have been changed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 13. I can do this with months instead. So you will find here months. So the first of each month here has been changed. If I go over here to years, you'll find the years being changed. If I go over here with flash fill, in this case, you'll find all of them exactly the same. So in here, I'm just gonna keep it full series. So you find now by days from 1 until 13th of Jan 2022. Now those are the marks for each of the students. Let's find out now if those students are passing or failing. So in here I'm asking first of all of total of marks. So to get the total of marks, very simple, you can need to go to the sum over here, select the sum, highlight all the table except the date. So I'm gonna highlight right from homework 1 all the way, my bad, let me just go over here, all the way down. I can actually use control on my keyboard. Okay, and I click enter. So this is giving me a total of 802. So I'm just gonna drag all the way down, and simply I'm calculating the whole total of each of them, so I don't need to go back and forth. I don't need to do one by one. Now going to the percentage, so I need to know how much each of them getting out of 100%. So this is a very simple equation. So in this case, what I can do here, I can go to this side here and find out how I'm gonna get the equation of this. So before I do this, let's find out what is the highest mark, the average mark, and the lowest mark, and the repeated mark of most of those. So again, I'm gonna go to the highest mark here. I can go to the sum, simply select the maximum, highlight all my total, and just click enter. In this case, it gives me the highest mark, which is, again, it shows over here in column or in row number 9. I can do the same for the average mark. So I go into the average mark, select average, and then select all my marks and hit enter on my keyboard. So it doesn't matter if it gives you an awkward number as you see in front of you, it's fine, as long as you're getting the average of all of those. So the average, how we get the average, we get the number of those marks and we divide them on the number of them. So or the total of them. So lowest mark, so I could do the same. So I'm gonna go to the minimum in this case, select all, and then after this I will hit enter on my keyboard. It gives me the lowest mark. Now repeated mark, we usually call it mode. So you have one of two ways to do this, similar to all of those. So let's say, for example, I don't need to do that. So I can go to equal. Once I hit minimum, you're gonna tell me what you're trying to find. So minimum, this is the function. I can highlight still, making sure of closing the brackets and hitting enter. It will do the same. So in repeated marks here, so at this case, I can go here to mode, M-O-D-E, here we go. Or if you cannot find the modes, because I have a mod here right at the bottom. If you cannot find it in this case, it's fine. You can go to your or to some more functions, and then I'm going to type here mode. Once you find it over here, just select it, insert function. At this case, I can select the different numbers and then hitting enter. Now in here, when I hit enter, it tells me NA. Why? Because none of those numbers has been repeated. But let me just do the same here in one of those columns. So I'm gonna go over here and equal mode. I'm gonna use my modes, select those and hit or closing the bracket, hit enter. It tells you 100. 100 being repeated how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So this is the number that being repeated in most of my columns. So I'm gonna stop over here and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.